Last week, special teams made special plays and led to some crazy lucky covers and some bad beats in the National Football League. Stay tuned to see what this week has in store and how you can cash on the NFL Week 4 all week long. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the Degen Docs on the DFSG Plus Sports Betting channel. What is up, folks? NFL Week 4 betting locks and picks. We are here. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts, the Degen Doc, but more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, aka Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Better than I was doing Sunday. I'll say that. I feel like I just got kind of hung out to dry a couple times with some bad beats, but it's fine. It's fine. We're on to week 4, and it's time to rebound.
The life of a gambler. Thus is the life of the NFL, this crazy sport of football that we love. Yes, we will get into that. But hey, look, folks, welcome to another week where we get to talk football. What a great time. Look, if it's your first time joining us, cheers to you. Thanks for joining. We are the Degen Docs. We're giving out plays every single week in the NFL and the NCAA college football. Look, week 4 best bets. This is how it works. We are going to start the show off with our 3 favorite prop bets each of the week. What are our prop targets starting this week? Then we're going to get into our best bets, what we like to call our Docs prescriptions. These are bets we feel so good about, we can prescribe them to you for this week. Right. Then we're going to do our Degen Parlay, little pizza bet, little 50 plus and over to 1. And then we're going to wrap up with a Thursday night football preview. This week, we are going to be talking about the 2-1 Seattle Seahawks taking on the 2-1 Arizona Cardinals, an NFC West division battle there up in Arizona in the Dome. So we've got a lot in store for you guys this week. We are going to briefly take a second to look back at last week here. Brother, overall, what were some takeaways from NFL Week 3? A crazy NFL Week 3.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, based on our performance, I think both of us got knocked around a little bit. One of which, I benefited from. A couple of them. On the other hand, we both kind of got shot in the foot there. But yeah, a lot of craziness happened, especially on this with special teams when it came to obviously block kicks. We had some kick returns and punt returns and those kind of things happen. A lot of walk-off field goals.
Yeah.
And we just didn't happen to fall on the right side for quite a few of those, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, look, man, special teams. It was the week of the special teams. I don't know what was in the air. Usually you might see one blocked kick a week, if that. I mean,
it was game after game there for a bit. Yeah.
What I have to say is that whatever devil, witch magic the Chiefs had going on last year, well, obviously the Eagles got into that ritual. Yeah, I know that movie, that Jordan Peele movie, Him, is coming out. Like, what would you do? What would you sacrifice? Maybe Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni went down that road, and because whatever magic they got going on to block 2 kicks in a row, it's getting a little bit crazy how they're pulling these out. So, but crazy week, like we said. We had some good breaks, some bad breaks, but it's gambling. That's what we do. That's why we're great. We were positive weeks 1 and 2. Week 3, a little meddling, little not the best, but you did hit a James Cook ladder on Thursday night that passed out pretty well. You were all over his rushing props. And I went 3 and 2 on the plays on Thursday. So Thursday was good. And then the rest of the week, a bit up and down there. But couple things. One, I can officially wear this Giants shirt. I gave an apathetic stance. I said, until Coach Dable gets fired, I'm out. I can't do it. I'm still a fan. But, man, they just crushed me. But
there's life in the building once again.
The Jaxson Dart Era has officially hit the New York Football Giants. Jaxson Dart, man. Look, it's not going to fix the team, but it gives you as a fan something to kind of root for. It was Dable's guy, so we're going to see. I mean, if he doesn't work, Dable's gone. Even if he does work, maybe Dable's gone, but I'm just excited to see somebody new. Russell Wilson, I mean, that fourth quarter, goal line from the 2 that sequence of plays was probably the worst sequence of
Holy
plays I've
smoke.
seen at any level from
Yeah.
quarterback. So
Yeah, I
glad
mean,
that we moved on from that.
it
And it,
the NFL is just absolutely wild. 2 weeks ago, Russ throwing for 450 plus yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and then a week later looks like the absolute joke of a quarterback that he played like last week. And I think it's probably the right move just to go ahead and turn the keys over to Jaxson Dart as a whole. I think you
right
guys go to to New Orleans to play the
next
Saints
week.
next week,
Yeah.
but then you still got a gauntlet after that. So like, there's no great time to throw him in there. You might as well just cut the
Andrew
string.
Thomas is back.
Right.
Illuminor on the other side. You got decent line play. You got Malik
Yeah,
Neighbors,
the
Scabby.
offensive line looked a lot better last week. Now, the injury to Tyrone Tracy, kind of a blow as well, but
Right.
with Andrew Thomas being back, like, that offensive line looked night and day different.
Yeah. No, so it's the
And
Dart
Russ still
era.
sucked.
Yeah, and look, last thing I'll say, shout out to Kansas City Chiefs there. Got to tour Arrowhead with the wife. They did a little military event. We were able to go out there. Really, really dope stadium. If you have not been, got to get in the press box, or not the press box, but where a press conference room where they do those things, walk on the
Yeah.
field a little bit. Super dope place. Haven't got to see a game there. We've only been here a couple weeks, but man, shout out to the Chiefs doing cool stuff, and obviously the Army for letting that opportunity. Really, really cool place, and they were already talking shit on the Ravens. They said we got some birds flying into town, whatever.
Perfect.
I love it. The tour guide, man, he was a boss. He had a Super Bowl ring.
You should have said that you got some rats around this place
Yeah,
coming,
really.
at least on Sunday. So
I did
you
learn
know
that
what I call them.
the visitors do not have a tunnel on their sideline. They don't have a bathroom on their sideline. So he's like, I don't know what they do during the game. So if they gotta use the restroom, there are probably a lot of guys peeing themselves. Not the case for the Chiefs. So, but hey, NFL Week 4, we are heading into no more rear view, headed full steam ahead. We are heading to another week of the National Football League, and I hope you are just as jacked as we are to talk football. Only thing better than talking and watching football is cashing off football, and that's what we plan to do here. We are talking our props of the week, our prop targets. As the gracious host that I am, I will let you go first. What is your first prop of the week for NFL Week 4?
Yeah, let's start off with what I think is going to be one of the better games of the week. Let's head down to Tampa Bay to look at the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I think that the Bucks are going to be able to hang in this one, and partially due to kind of reestablishing the run a little bit more so for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Baker's been kind of leading the squad there to that 3-0 start. But I think that Tristan Wirfs will suit up for the Bucks and allow their offensive line to at least look closer to how they expected it to way back when in training camp. So give me Bucky Irving anytime touchdown at plus 115.
Yeah, man, I like it. The Eagles have struggled. Baker, I think, is 4-1 against them. They've lost 3 out of the last 4 against the Bucks. It's really been one of the teams that's been their Achilles heel. They're talking about the Heat index. It's gonna feel like over 100, and they said they're gonna go down a week early to acclimate. I don't know what their medical staff is telling them. One day, probably not going to allow you to acclimate to a heat, especially the humidity down there. As a former Florida resident, I can tell you, good luck with that plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that practice report is going to be interesting. Wirfs limited, Godwin full, Evans is going to be out, so they're going to want to establish that line. Nolan Smith just got put on the IR for the Eagles.
Right.
Linebackers Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond were not practicing today. Now, I still think there's a good chance they both play, but still obviously banged up a little bit. So this is going to be a very interesting game. But yeah, I like the Bucky Irving play. I think they're going to have to run the ball if they want any shot. All right, my play here, just talked about him. Jaxson Dart over 6.5 rush attempts, plus 120 over on FanDuel. Look, there's a little bit of I'm excited, yes, on the quarterback, but he's a rookie quarterback making his first start. What do they typically like to do, especially the mobile ones? Use their legs, right? You're going up against a complicated scheme in Jesse Minter. This Chargers defense is one of the best in the league, right? So one of the things that has been susceptible, though, is the quarterback run. We saw in week 1 in that Brazil game, Patrick Mahomes went up for over 50 yards. Now, I'm going attempts here because, I think that the Giants they brought Dart in a couple times throughout the season to specifically run the zone read. So they're going to have actual designed QB runs, and it's not all just going to be scrambles. I think they're going to get a couple scrambles, but I think they're going to try to use that as an element of the run game where obviously they didn't have with Russell Wilson, even though they did try it in the goal line and it looked like ass. I don't know why they did that with Russell Wilson. But if we look at the quarterbacks, the last three quarterbacks the Chargers have played this season, Mahomes went for 6 rushes. Geno Smith went for 5, which he never runs. And then Bo Nix rushed for 8. So I think, it's going to be similar to something like we see with Bo Nix, where this is a mobile quarterback, especially in his first start. This is a complicated defense. The linebacking core for the Chargers is pretty good, but they're banged up. No Perryman, no Junior Colson on the IR. So you got a couple backups floating around in there. And let's be honest, as much as the Giants' offensive line has improved, the interior is still a little bit of a mess. So pressure is going to be a thing. So look for Dart to use his legs there. I like the over rushing at 34.5 as well, but I think the attempts is better. One, again, those design runs, and then 2, maybe some kneel downs. We'll see if he can, whether it's a win or just go into half. You guys can sneak a couple in there, or maybe they run their version of, the QB sneak. So we'll see. But I do like Dart over 6.5 rush attempts at plus 120 over there on FanDuel. What do you got next for us here?
Yeah, I don't mind that one at all. But let's move on to my next one, and this is one that there's been a lot of hype from this quarterback since he did start in Minnesota last week, and that's Carson Wentz. I mean, everybody keeps saying that Carson Wentz and KOC are like this new dynamic duo, and Carson Wentz has revitalized his career almost. And it's like, well, the guy threw for 170 yards and had a QBR of 34.8.
Yep.
That's not a great game. Yes, he didn't turn the ball over. It was a very, very, very conservative game plan. He only threw the ball 20 times. And I mean, Jordan Mason ran it 16 times. They had 31 rushes on the day. So with that being said, going up in Pittsburgh or against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, we've known for the last 2 or 3 years that the Steelers defense's Achilles heel is stopping the run. Now, they did look a little bit better last week against the Pats, but I still think that's probably what KOC is going to try to do, especially over there in Dublin, Ireland. So I'm going to take Carson Wentz's under 210.5 passing yards at minus 113.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that it's a backup quarterback. They obviously relied on their defense in the run game, partly because of great game script, but that's what you're going to want to do with a backup quarterback. So absolutely, I'm not not bought in to the Carson Wentz is revitalized in this amazing.
I mean, to throw for 173 yards against the Bengals secondary, I mean, not a great game, but I mean, to your point, I mean, game script wise, you're going to be running the ball a lot in the second half when you're up 48-10, or and when you win 48-10. But still, I just think that the Steelers' worst part of their defense is still by far that rush defense. So we'll see.
All right. Yeah, no, I think that they, especially that Dublin, when they go over to Europe, those games can be ugly. They're weird kind of situation stuff. So I like that. All right, I'm going to go from a quarterback under to a quarterback over. We're going to go Jordan Love over 227.5 pass yards there, minus 114. Over, I think this is on DraftKings, might be FanDuel, sorry, where I pulled that from. But look, Jordan Love, one of the things he loves to do, he's a gunslinger, man. So sometimes he has those boneheaded interceptions that we saw last week that came back to bite him, but he loves to chuck the ball deep. And if he's going to do it on any defense, it's going to be against this Dallas Cowboys defense. They are the worst passing defense in the NFL. They give up on average 288 yards per game. They let quarterbacks like Russell Wilson make them look like hot garbage. And you've got a situation where their top 2 cornerbacks are questionable and may not play. Diggs dealt with the knee injuries all offseason. He left the last game with a knee injury. He did not practice today. Now, Deron Bland, he hasn't played the last 2 weeks with a foot injury. It sounds like he may be able to play, but still kind of up in the air. That secondary has been a clear weak point for them. So I think Love, I think he's going to hit a couple deep bombs. He's going to get tons of yardage after the cast. Guys like Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Tucker Kraft, they've been connecting well. So I like him to pop over that 227.5 number there.
Yeah, no, I like that one as well. And finally, my last one for this week is let's go to a running back here, and he's going up against one of the best defenses in the league. Although it's at home, it's not in Cleveland. Um, Cleveland still has one of the best defenses in the league. So I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get some touches. He's just not going to find much success. That defensive line for Cleveland, I hate to say it, but that their defensive line is nasty. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I think it took him 21 or 22 carries this past week to pop over this number
Yeah.
against the Baltimore Ravens defense. That's a little bit beat up.
Yeah.
So give me Jahmyr Gibbs under 62.5 rushing yards at -111.
Yeah, no, I mean it's we saw the David Montgomery game, and as guys that are kind of big Montgomery fans, and took them. And this Cleveland defense, man,
Yeah, I mean they held
Henry.
Jacob and Derrick Henry each of the last 2 weeks to pretty pitiful games by their standards. So yeah, I think that defense is for real.
Dude, they're legit. Like I'm like trying to think of like power ranking, and like that unit within themselves of the Cleveland Browns defense is like top 5 in the league. I mean, they're obviously I think they lead the lead in yardage per, like, the least amount of yards given up. So they just got to figure out some offense.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. My last prop here is gonna be going back to that Dublin game. Vikings tight end TJ Hawkinson over 38.5 receiving yards at -111 over on DraftKings. Look, TJ Hawkinson was a guy that we were kind of pounding the table for, at least myself, in the offseason. Thought he was going to have a pretty good year coming off year 2 of that ACL. JJ McCarthy can't really throw to the tight end, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he can't throw to anybody. But look,
which is strange coming out of Michigan. Colson Loveland was like one of his dudes,
right? Yeah,
a couple years ago.
I don't know if it's a scheme thing or whatever, but people were saying that Hawkinson was washed, yada yada yada. And last week, I mean, Carson Wentz, and this is in a situation where he only threw 20 times in the game. He targeted Hawkinson 6 of those times. Only Justin Jefferson had more targets, 5 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. I think that, not only is it that Wentz actually uses the tight end, but Pittsburgh's not been the best against tight ends. I mean, all you have to look at is last week. Hunter Henry, who had been doing nothing all season, popped off 2 touchdowns, was the leading receiver in that game. So I think there's clear issues with coverage, whether it be linebacker or safety, and that's a pretty damn low number. So in a game that I think can get pretty ugly, again, you have a backup quarterback using the safety valve. Obviously, yes, you're going to get Justin Jefferson. All the attention is going to be on him. You got Addison coming back. I think Hawkinson's going to pop over that 38.5 number there. All right, those are the props here. A quick recap for our props of the week. For Derek, it's Bucky Irving, anytime touchdown, +115 against the Eagles. Carson Wentz under 210.5 passing yards, -113 against the Steelers. And then Jahmyr Gibbs under 62.5 rushing yards, -111 against those stingy Cleveland Browns there. All over on DraftKings. And then Jaxson Dart over 6.5 rush attempts at +120. Jordan Love over 227.5 pass yards, -114 against that terrible Dallas Cowboys defense, both over on FanDuel. And then TJ Hawkinson over 38.5 receiving yards, -111 over on DraftKings. I think Carson Wentz is able to find the safety valve a little bit, as he has TJ Watt and Nick Herbig, probably not Alex Highsmith bearing down. Vikings also going to be missing at least one, if not multiple, offensive linemen. Left guard Donovan Jackson out with a wrist injury. He had surgery this week, so they'll be a little bit banged up as well. May need to get the ball out quickly. All right, man, let's get to our best bets, our prescription this week, Doc's prescription. We are giving out our 4 best plays, money line spreads, totals, those things. I will let you start off. What is your number 1 play so far this week?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a surprise for me, just because I don't like to go into this too often. But give me my Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin, Ireland, against the Vikings. I mean, I think most football fans know the history of the Steelers and the Rooneys and their affiliation with Ireland as a whole. And to me, I think it's just one of those things where, like you mentioned, the Minnesota's offensive line's a little bit beat up. You got a backup quarterback. Now defensively, I think that their their defense might give the Steelers one hell of a day up front, and might give Aaron Rodgers some fits. But the veteran that he is, the way that he can diagnose things up front, I think that will give them a little bit of a boost. And that defense did play a little bit better last week. So I do think that the Steelers will show up over there in Dublin and at least cover the 2.5. But I'm probably going to sprinkle a little bit for them to come on home with a dub too.
Yeah, look, I mean, this caught my attention and should catch the audience's attention because, yeah, Derek is a very disciplined bettor when it comes to his teams. He does not typically, emotionally kind of bet really one way or the other. So you must really like this spot, and I will stick in that game here. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh, Minnesota under 41.5 -112 over on DraftKings. I
Yeah,
think it will be a tight,
it's a good
close,
play too.
ugly game. I think
Yeah,
it's going to be one of those, I think when Rodgers played the Vikings with the Jets, that was one of those kind of ugly games that came
yeah,
down to the end. I think it was like a couple, 3-point game or something like that.
yep,
But yeah, first of all, Brian Flores is a madman. He is going to blitz the hell out of
yep,
anybody he plays. He's going to make it
yep,
very difficult. Now,
yep,
Rodgers has been well so far to not, turn the ball over too much and kind of protect it a little bit, which has been good because he's going to
yep,
need to. Because I think defensive touchdown is really how they broke that game open against the Bengals, and that's what they're trying to really recreate.
yep.
But I think both offenses are going to struggle. I think this is where both defenses are ahead of the offenses right now
Agreed.
on these teams. You have Wentz, obviously, a career
Now,
kind of
now
journey.
the Vikings do get Addison back for this one, correct?
They do.
He's
He's
had
not.
his
Yes,
suspension. He's coming back, but
correct.
I think you nailed it. I mean, both defenses are playing better than both of these offenses at this point.
Oh yeah, and then for the Steelers side, Alex Highsmith was already ruled out, but you have
Yeah.
Herbig on the other side, who's very capable, and
Oh, yeah.
then Joey Porter and Deshaun Elliott both practicing and kind of have a good shot to play and returns this week. So that
Right.
secondary is going to be able to kind of be where they were, and they were creating a lot of turnovers last week against the Patriots. Even though the Patriots were kind of moving up and down a little bit, they were being very opportunistic, and they only held them to 14 points the whole game. So
Yep.
I like this to be a very ugly kind of. We're waking up early. It seems like they're just waking up, even though they'll be 6 hours ahead technically. Body clocks. It takes a while
Right.
for that to get kind of going. So I think this is going to be a sleepy kind of
Sure.
ugly game. That's a 3-point game. And it's really going to be decided in the last couple minutes. So all right, what's your next play?
Yeah, give me the Jags in this one. I think in general, San Francisco has just been beat the hell up, and this past weekend they lost their leader on, or one of their leaders on defense in in Bosa, and I think that the Jags offensively they've been playing a little bit better as a whole. So yeah, I think the Jags coming off that win against the division rival in Houston um, can get it done out there on the left coast.
Yeah, I'll stick right there with you, man. Give me the Jags plus 3.5 there, -115 over on FanDuel. You talked about the Bosa injury. I mean, Purdy and Mac Jones both limited today.
Yep.
Mac Jones re-aggravated a PCL strain. Purdy obviously still dealing with that turf toe. It's only been 2 weeks, right? So
Right. Right.
that's where they originally said. Now I do think Purdy pushes and plays, but he's
Agreed.
clearly not going to be 100%. And
Definitely.
that offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers has not been good by
No.
any stretch of the imagination.
Definitely.
Now, I think Mac Jones has, he's taken 4 sacks in 2 weeks, and some of that is probably limited mobility
Yeah.
on his part. But still, I don't really, really love this San Francisco team. I think they've been benefited from a
No.
very easy schedule.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I mean, that yes, they're 3-0, but by a combined 10 points. You barely squeak out a game against Arizona. You
Yep,
go down to New Orleans, who might be the worst team in the league, at least bottom 2 or 3,
yep.
and win by 5. And then, to beat Seattle by 4. I mean, it's a division rival. It's your opening game. It's on the road. Still, uh, going into the season, these Niners were pretty heavily favored to win the NFC West.
Yeah.
And yes, they've won all 3 games, but not in a convincing fashion by any means.
Yeah, and then one more note here: Ricky Pearsall not practicing, and Jawan Jennings day to day, so still not healthy. Still no Ayuk, still no Kittle.
Yep.
I really like this Jags D line against this O line, and obviously Trevor Lawrence has got some things he needs to clean up. But that was a
Oh, yeah.
really good win from them to beat the Texans in that game last week. It was a
No
bit
doubt.
ugly, which this one may get, but man, that 49ers defense, when you take out Bosa, it's like Fred Warner and a bunch of guys who are unproven or journeymen, like trying to
Right.
rely on Bryce Huff for your pass rush now. We'll see. I mean, good luck to you, but I think
Right.
that it's a bit foolish for them to be laying more than a field goal right now, given their injury situation. So,
Sure.
okay, you are up next. What is play number 3 for your best bets for NFL Week 4?
Yeah, I'm hoping that you enjoy this one as well. But give me your G-men to keep things close against the Chargers this week. I mean, usually we talk about after a coach gets fired, you get a little bit of a boost. I think that the team as a whole, and especially that fan or the fandom
The
of the
home game,
Giants
yeah.
is gonna come alive here for Jaxson Dart in his season debut here. So, I mean, even last week, everybody was booing Russell Wilson as soon as he stepped on the field. Those 3 or 4 plays that Jaxson Dart ran out, he got a pretty good pop there. So, I do think that he gives the Giants a little bit of a life. And I think, to me, a 3-0 team that's looked pretty damn good, and the Chargers going up against the Giants team that last week looked pretty pitiful and has for most of the season. I question why this line is at 6. To be
Yeah,
honest with you,
it does
it's
take a
just
little bit.
kind of one of those funky ones, kind of like the Panthers line last week, and they ended up blowing the Falcons out. So, give me the Giants to keep things close at +6 at -110.
Yeah, look, I've avoided betting on the Giants for a couple seasons now. I'm already invested enough emotionally, and they've just sucked. So I
Yeah,
don't need to lose money on them. I already lose emotional
I,
money all
I'll
the time.
I'll help
But
you. I'll help you. Cheer them on this week.
there you go. Yeah. Now look, but talking to this point, they eked out a win against the Broncos, who I think the Broncos really blew that game. I mean, the Broncos
Yeah,
were leading for the majority of the game, and they lost on the last second field goal.
right.
They beat the Chiefs by 5, who the Chiefs, especially with Worthy going out to that first series and trying
Yeah,
to have a game plan change on the
massive
fly
change.
is
Yep.
absolute worst case scenario. They beat the Raiders pretty good, but let's not forget they gave the Raiders all the opportunities in the world to backdoor that game. Omarion Hampton fumbled. They kept, giving the Raiders opportunities. They just couldn't take it.
Right.
No Najee Harris, obviously, who, was a guy that coming in before the eye stuff was someone who could help
And
them. I don't know
and
if
I think
Hampton.
he did have like eight touches before he went out last week. He was
Yeah,
starting
he was.
to
It was.
to
They
get
like that 1-2 punch,
some
man, and
run.
now it's
Yeah,
Hassan Haskins and a rookie who's already fumbled once. I don't know if he's ready to take over that bell cow back. He also got some offensive line issues. Center
right.
Bradley Bozeman didn't practice today. Mekhi Becton has a concussion.
Yep.
Mostly everyone who's had a concussion so far has missed at least a game. So
Right.
at least expecting one, if not two, guys down an offensive line already that doesn't have Rashawn Slater. We'll see if Shane
And
Bowen
you tell me
allows
that
that pass
this
rush.
Giants pass rush is great with Abdul Carter and Thibodeau and all these
If
guys. And
if Bowen allows them, I will say Giants are getting healthier at the linebacker, so that should allow Abdul
yeah,
Carter to stop playing off ball and
yeah,
actually get to the rush and stuff. So look, we'll see. That's the best I can do for you, man.
that's fine.
All right, my play here. We're going to actually Sunday night. My favorite play
Big one.
this week is the Green Bay Packers -6.5, -110. I tweeted this out on Monday. I'm taking the Packers on the alt line. I love the Packers this week. You
Yeah,
have the Green Bay Packers coming off a very bad loss to the Cleveland Browns, who, again, Cleveland Browns defense is really fucking good.
yep,
And then you have the situation where Micah Parsons' revenge game. CeeDee Lamb's going to be out multiple weeks, definitely out this week. The right guard Tyler Booker is going to be out multiple weeks, definitely out this week. The center, Cooper Beebe is already on IR. He's going to be
yep,
out. So you've got 2 backup linemen. You've got your best player on offense out. Your top 2 cornerbacks are beat up. Deron Bland may play. Again, he hasn't played for 2 weeks, but he's practicing. And then Diggs there on the other side, not practicing, dealt with knee stuff all off season. I would expect him to not be out there.
yep.
Even if they were healthy, I'd take the Packers in this one. But given the spot, given the situation, given the injury sides of things, now the Packers are dealing with some offensive line stuff, to be fair, but they were against the Commanders too, and they beat the shit out of the Commanders.
No
So
doubt.
I understand this is in Dallas. I don't care. I think that this Cowboys team, especially with their injury situation, is a bottom 10 roster in the league. Give me the Packers to go in there and get some revenge and let out some demons there. -6.5, -110 over on Bet365. Again, I will be playing alt spreads probably all the way up to -20.5. I do think that they're going to absolutely demolish them. I mean, look, Jerry Jones, I think this is going to be a little bit personal, man. You kind of, I think Micah Parsons has been saying like, Dak's my guy. Like, I'm not looking forward to, whatever. Like, get the fuck
To
out of
get
here,
this
dude.
Dak right.
He's like, there's no way that this is not personal for him. So
Oh, no doubt.
I will enjoy it as a Giants fan on Sunday night there.
Yeah, no, I really like that play. I'll probably be tailing you on that one coming Sunday night. Probably get that one in. I don't know, middle of that mid afternoon game window there. But for my last play, give me the Bucks to again keep things close, and I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on the money line with this one going up against the Eagles. You mentioned it with the Eagles going down to Tampa Bay. The weather, the heat, the humidity might play a little bit of a factor, but you also mentioned the Eagles losing a couple of defenders to the IR this past week with Nolan Smith and Ja'Cory Bennett in the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
And offensively, I just haven't been super impressed by the Eagles to this point. Like they did come back and squeaked out a victory last week against the Rams, but over the 3 games, I mean, Jalen Hurts has only thrown for 479 yards, and Saquon has not gone over the 100-yard mark yet. I believe he may have last week, but he's only ran for 194. I don't think so. He's only ran for 194 yards in 3 games. So Saquon is definitely not as dominant this year.
That line is
As
not
a whole, that
yeah.
offensive line has looked a little bit suspect at times. I don't know where A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have necessarily gone. On the other hand, Emeka Ibuka is a dude. I don't know, what university he went to, but Baker Mayfield has found him early and often, and I think that Bucky Irving will get going a little bit against this Eagles defense. So give me the Bucks at +3.5 at -115.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a really, really good game. You've got the history. I mean,
Yep.
I think the Bucks are in the Eagles' heads a little bit. They're talking about the weather and what they can change with all the like. This has
Yep.
kind of been their Achilles heel, man. They're talking. They're going a day early. They're changing their schedule to try to acclimate to the heat. Anyone who's been in Florida for 2 seconds will tell you, good fucking luck, man. That's
Right.
not going to work. All right. The humidity, it's not something that 24 hours, 48 hours is going to allow you to do, especially when you're out there busting your ass. The big guys like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. Appreciate Jordan Davis. He's lost some weight. He looks better. Don't appreciate him returning that touchdown.
Speed demon. I love it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're on the other side there. But no, the Eagles defense, man. Let's talk about that for a second. I mentioned the injuries. And what I didn't mention, Adoree Jackson went out last week. Ja'Cory Bennett was the guy who came in for him. So Adoree Jackson not practicing. Ja'Cory Bennett already on the IR. The CB2 spot was already one of the weak points of that defense opposite Degen and Quinyon Mitchell. Who the hell are they even going to put over there? Safety position is still kind of up in the air. So you're taking away from that secondary. Now your pass rush, which, against the Cowboys, they didn't get any sacks. They brought in Zadarius Smith. He's an older player. I don't know if he's ready to run all those miles there, especially in that Florida heat. So I think this could be a little bit of kind of both offenses having success here.
I'll be interested to see if since the Texans released CJGJ a couple of days ago, if they're able to do some
Really brings him out. I saw some
tap gymnastics and bring him back to.
I heard that. I gotta look more into this. I was seeing this on X, but they were saying something about there being a rule that you can't bring back a guy you've traded, at least within the same season or something like that. So I gotta see, but I saw a lot of people like kind of mentioning that, and it seems very obscure for like people to, so it might be some validity.
That is odd, but this is a different season too, so I don't.
I don't know. But Nick Sirianni did say, now coach speak, but he was like, they asked him about that, the Philly beat reporters, and he said, I'm happy with our room. But again, he could say that, and there could be stuff. So we'll
Right.
see. Because he did give them a little bit of an edge. As a former
I
Gator,
was
I
gonna
do
say,
like
I
him.
think Mike Tomlin kind of said the same thing, and then they brought in Jabril Peppers. So
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun game. I hope Baker's a fucking dog, dude.
Yep.
Whenever like having money in Baker Mayfield, especially late in a
It's a
game,
blast.
you just feel good. You feel
Yeah.
good about it. Like he just figures it out. He'll run through somebody's face. Like he
Yep.
will do whatever he can to try and win
Roll
that.
his ankle and then jump up and
Right.
smack you around a
Yeah.
little bit.
So
Yeah.
I think that game's gonna be I'll probably be telling you on that one. But it's that game's gonna be super fun. All right, my last play, Monday Night Football. One of the two games that's probably not gonna be as good as the Monday night game that we saw last a couple of days ago with the
Right.
Ravens and the Lions.
That
Even the
was awesome.
Jets +3, -118. Who in the hell are the Miami Dolphins to be laying points against anybody in the National Football League?
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand that a lot of people are giving them brownie points or pity parties or participation trophies for keeping it close against the Buffalo team that was sleepwalking there. Yeah, I watching that game. First half they did okay, but Josh Allen was able to do whatever he wanted against that defense. Tua, in
Yep.
the biggest moment, he threw an interception, a really bad interception. He
Right.
does not look good. He does not look right.
Yep.
Meanwhile, this Jets team, they did obviously have a stinker against the Bills, but they were very competitive with their backup quarterback at Tampa Bay. So they've already, if
Yep.
anything, were in Tampa Bay last week. So the Miami Heat situation, they at least played there last week. And then against Pittsburgh, that was a 2-point game. So they have 2 games where they're 2-point losses. I think this is a situation where the Jets.
And I think it's. And
Go ahead.
my guess is that Fields will be back from that concussion as well.
Right. It's the
We'll,
expectation.
we'll Right. I mean, we'll see over the next couple of days what his practice status looks like, but we are expecting him to come back for this game,
Absolutely. And I
especially
think
with an extra day.
I think we're going to see something similar to what we saw against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, where he was both using his legs and Garrett Wilson was getting loose there. The Miami Dolphins secondary has nobody on their roster who can cover Garrett Wilson.
No.
And on the running game, they're giving up 145 yards a game on the ground. So I think that between Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Justin Fields, I think this is going to be a nightmare for them. I do not. I think the wrong team is favored here. I understand it's in Miami, but
Yep.
give me the Jets. The Miami again. I've been out on them all year, even before the year started. So why would I jump on that train now?
Yep.
All right, let's do a recap here for your 4 best bets of the week. You're taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin, Ireland, +2.5, -105. You're taking the Jacksonville Jaguars +3.5, -115 over in the Bay Area. The New York Football Giants, led by rookie quarterback Jaxson Dart, +6 against Herbert and those boys coming into town. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Heat, apparently, +3.5 against those Philadelphia Eagles there. For myself, I will be taking the Jags there as well against the 49ers. The Packers to absolutely demolish the Dallas Cowboys and embarrass them on Sunday Night Football. The New
Yep.
York Jets +3 against a bad Miami Dolphins team. And the European early game stinker, Pittsburgh, Minnesota under 41.5 at -112 there. All right, let's get a little bit Degen there. Those were our nice
Do
and
it.
easy straight plays, conservative. This is what we're prescribing to you. Now, if you want to go a little bit off the shelf, a little bit to that black market where, it's not going to be totally out there, not as advertised. We're going to our
Yep.
Degen parlay, and why don't you
Yep.
kick us off here?
Yeah, well, before I do this, I meant to mention this at the top of the show before we got into any of our bets, but going back to my survival guide, my survivor picks that I did before the season, I gave 2 completely different routes to Survivor. I'm so far 6-0. All 6 of them
Oh,
have
shit. Look at
have
you.
have won. And when I did that show, I brought up the Saints at the Bills, and I have a note here and said that the Bills will be favored by 15 or 16. Well, they're favored by 16 and a half. So screw all these AI lines. Just ask me. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think that the Bills will be up pretty big in this one, which leads to James Cook just running the ball over and over and over again. So what I've done here is put James Cook's rushing up to plus one, or over 130.
Okay.
And then if this Giants team is going to stay close, it's going to be through Jaxson Dart getting the ball to Malik Neighbors. So Malik Neighbors going over 110 receiving yards. If Cook goes over 130 rushing, Malik Neighbors goes over 110 receiving. This cashes at plus basically 61 to 1.
Yeah. So that was James Cook, 130 plus rush yards, and Malik Neighbors, 110 receiving yards at a monster 61 to 1. That's that Degen parlay there. And you guys will have to fact check Derek there. He put out that solo survivor episode while I was gallivanting in Italy. So you'll have to go ahead and check that out. It's on the page. Make sure he's not lying. Make sure he did say these things he's claiming. But
Right.
I'll trust him for now until I hear otherwise. All right, my Degen parlay. I've got 3 also alt props here. We're gonna go to that Dublin, Ireland game. Jaylen Warren 5+ receptions, plus 235 there. This is a defense in the Minnesota Vikings that they're going to blitz a lot. They are going to confuse the quarterback. They're going to make you dump down and not get to where you want to go with the ball. And Aaron Rodgers has had no problem getting Jaylen Warren involved in the passing game there. So I'm going to go Jaylen Warren 5+ receptions. Also, Matthew Golden 70+ receiving yards. This is a situation where I talked about it. I think the Packers, especially that passing offense, is going to tee off against this beat up and very bad Dallas Cowboys secondary. And I think Matthew Golden, we saw it a little bit last week. He had 60 yards. He was, I think he had 57 or something like that. He was kind of heating up. If he could have stayed in bound against the Browns there on that one long catch, he probably would have had, a 95-yard touchdown, something like that. So I think, especially against this Dallas defense, like we saw guys that aren't even normally flyers down the field, a la Wan'Dale Robinson, absolutely burn them. So now you have one of the fastest players in the league with a quarterback who loves to chuck it up. I love Matthew Golden to really kind of get unlocked and kind of have his day this in that game. And then Justin Herbert, 30+ rushing yards at plus 260. He hit this in his first 2 games. Last game, he didn't really use his legs as much. But he's going against the Giants defense that has allowed quarterbacks to run around, whether it's due to the pressure or whether it's them, missing assignments. The linebackers have been a bit rough there. I don't think they're going to be a situation where they're going to spy him at all. They didn't against Mahomes. Mahomes was able to get loose with his legs a little bit. So 30+ rushing yards there. I think all very attainable for these guys. Put them all together, and that is a nice 53 to 1 there. So we have Jaylen Warren 5 catches, Matthew Golden 70+ receiving yards, and Justin Herbert 30+ rush yards at a 53 to 1.
I like it.
Okay, now we're moving on to Thursday night football. And with this Thursday night football, we've got another division rivalry game. We've got the Seattle Seahawks heading just south. I was going to say west, heading mostly southeast to the Arizona Cardinals to be road favorites there. -1.5, -105, -122 on the money line. The Cardinals catching +1.5. Small home dog +102 there. Over under sitting at 43.5. So I'm going to go through injuries in this game. We finally got the injury reports. Those damn West Coast teams taking forever. So for the Seahawks, they have ruled out fullback Robbie Oates, the rookie there. He's been put on IR, actually, so he won't be playing. The rookie safety Nick Amonwori is doubtful, which in the NFL means he won't be playing. And then questionable running back Zach Charbonnet, who has been practicing this week. The foot injury, kind of expect him to go. And then offensive guard Anthony Bradford and outside linebacker Boye Mafe, a little bit beat up, but I kind of expect all those guys to be able to go there the way they've been practicing. And then 2 guys they're getting back in the secondary, big-time players, safety Julian Love with the hamstring, and cornerback Devon Witherspoon is back from his knee injury. So that secondary is getting beefed up a little bit just in time for this Cardinals offense. On the Cardinals side, we all saw, unfortunately, James Conner out for the year.
That was gruesome.
Gruesome. Brad, ankle injury, probably dislocation fracture type. He has had surgery. He's done. Zay Jones, wide receiver, is dealing with a concussion. He's going to be out short week with a concussion. You can almost rule them out right away. Cornerback Will Johnson, who's been a great player out of Michigan, looks like a steal, but he unfortunately injured his groin. Did not play last week. Unlikely to play this week. He's doubtful. Has not practiced all week. And then on the offensive line, you've got Paris Johnson, left tackle, and then the two guards, Evan Brown and Hernandez. Will Hernandez is typically the backup for Evan Brown. They're all questionable and had limited practices. And then linebacker Akeem Davis Gaither coming over from the Bengals last season. He's got an elbow injury. So the Cardinals a little bit more banged up there, but both teams, they're missing some key pieces. I would say that the Seattle definitely has the health advantage coming into this one. What's your initial analysis there? How do you see this game going down?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of brought this point up about a couple of games, but I think both of these is again kind of the strong point of each of these two teams to this point. I mean, at one point you got a Sam Darnold led Seahawks team that put up 30 points against the Steelers. Now, I don't necessarily know if that game would have gone exactly that way if it didn't get out of hand because somebody doesn't know what the kickoff rules are. On the other hand, the Arizona Cardinals haven't necessarily been able to put many points on the board as a whole. I mean, they beat Carolina, which has one of the worst defenses in the league, by 20 or putting up 27, and
Right.
then they put up 20 in the season opener at New Orleans. But I think just as a whole, this is going to be another ugly game, kind of like you were saying for that Dublin game. So give me the under 43.5. I don't have a great read on either of these teams, and I don't have a strong pull towards the line either way, even though it's basically a pick 'em. So yeah, I struggle to really trust either Kyler Murray or Sam Darnold in this one. So I'm just going to stick with the under 43.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. This Cardinals defense has been actually pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
They're only giving up 17 points a game. Now you could say, well, they haven't played exactly the best schedule, and I get that, but this defense has been, especially that front seven's been impressive.
Yes.
Now the Seattle Seahawks on the other side, they have done pretty well as well. Even with the injuries, they're only giving up 15.7 points a game. So we're talking about two teams that are top 5 in points allowed per game, and they're getting back two of their best players in the secondary. So, I think the Cardinals secondary is a little bit susceptible with some guys out, but that front seven's been very impressive. And the Seahawks offensive line has not been that impressive. Neither team has really been able to run the ball, and both teams are good against the run. And then, now we're relying on Sam Darnold and Kyler Murray, two guys that don't have a lot of trust to light up the scoreboard there. I think that, I'm going to also be on the under 43.5 minus 115 there. All right. What are some props that you like in this one?
Yeah. I mean, this one's hit each of the first 3 weeks, and as long as it keeps hitting, I'm going to keep playing it. Kyler over 29.5 rushing yards at minus 110. I mean, the guy is going to have to use his legs, especially when you don't have your veteran James Conner right next to you. I mean, but besides 150-yard run, Trey Benson hasn't really done much in 3 games. Like, obviously, he hasn't been getting the amount of carries that he probably will in this game. But take that 50-yarder away, and the guy has 75 yards in 3 games. So I think that Kyler is going to have to be the little engine that could literally to bring some offense to Arizona. So yeah, give me his rushing yards.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you on the Benson play. I think I saw it at under 60.5, minus 112 over on DraftKings earlier today. And you really hit a lot of great points. I do think it's a Kyler game, if anything, on the ground. Even with James Conner, they were struggling to run the ball. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to have 15, 20 carries a game. I don't know if he's that type of bell cow back. And the Seahawks, they're only letting up 90 yards a game in the rushing department. You've got some offensive line issues with the Cardinals from a health perspective. I think that it would be foolish to expect Trey Benson to just kind of go in and have this monster game. Not a great situation. O-line's not been the best. They've got some injuries, so I don't love it. So I'm on that under 2. I think that's a very high number. Also, I'm going to be on Trey McBride over 64.5 receiving yards, minus 114 over on FanDuel there. This is a situation where no Zay Jones. You've got, Maserati, Mitsubishi, whatever you might want to call him, Harrison. He's having some issues with some drops. So is
Yeah.
Michael Wilson. It's a
Yeah.
trust factor. This Seattle secondary still a little bit beat up, missing a man worry. Tariq Woolen has been susceptible. Like, who does Kyler trust at this point? And it's Trey
Right.
McBride. I think he's going
Yep.
to, from a pure volume perspective, he's going to pepper Trey McBride with targets. The Seahawks can be susceptible to the tight end there. So I like Trey McBride here. And then also, if I'm going to be taking anyone in the Seattle, wide receiver game or passing game, excuse me, it's going to be JSN. I mean, he's been targeted, double more than anybody else on the team. He leads the team,
Yep.
obviously, in receiving. He's averaging almost 100 yards a game. I think over. He's got 323 in just 3 games. So
Yep.
I know the number 84.5 is big, but it's not big enough, especially against the Cardinals defense that now has 2 of their 3 starting cornerbacks are going to be out. And Sam Darnold loves him. It's kind of similar to Trey McBride thing. He's the clear guy that he trusts. He's going to pepper him with targets. He gets a ton of receptions. They find ways to get him the ball, whether it's those quick screens or something down the field. So I like McBride and Benson to both have a day there. All right, let's have a little bit of fun. What is some plus money plays that you like in this Thursday night division battle we have going on?
Yeah, I mean, I threw out a couple anytime touchdowns, and part of it's due to some injuries that we've already talked about. I mean, I'm not a big believer in Benson to this point. He'll have to show me a little bit this week and moving forward, because we're not going to see James Conner again. And you mentioned it, Zay Jones isn't going to be playing either. So yes, Marvin Harrison has been struggling a little bit. He's definitely a big target in the red zone to go to, as well as Trey McBride is. But I'm going to go to a little bit more of a long shot here. And now that Zay Jones isn't available, Michael Wilson is kind of their wide receiver too. So give me Michael Wilson's anytime touchdown at plus 370. And then in the same breath, for whatever reason, they find ways to get Greg Dortch the ball. He's had a carry, I think, in each game. He had a couple of catches in this past week. So give me Greg Dortch anytime touchdown at 7-1.
Yeah, Dort. I mean, I like them both. I mean, it's kind of who are the other guys going to be? Trey McBride clearly is allergic to the end zone. So much as I want him to get targets and things like that, it can't rely on him to get in there. And then Marvin Harrison was really good last year getting in there, but he's having some confidence issues. So why not get the other guys involved? Dortch, definitely could see some type of gadget play, especially when you're trying to manufacture a running game when your star running backs out. Yeah, I like that. I like both those plays. I think that there's a lot of value there. My kind of sneaky wide receiver I'm taking is on the other side, Torrey Horton, plus 410 over on FanDuel. I think that price is kind of outrageous. I mean, he had the punt return last game for a touchdown, which would count. He also had a receiving touchdown. He had a receiving touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Outside of that first week where he didn't get many snaps, he's had a touchdown in the last 2 weeks, at least one. He had 2 last week. So he's a guy who I loved coming out of Colorado State there, from that Mountain West. Will Johnson is typically the guy who covers the slot. Not going to be out there. Garrett Williams is might be on that assignment sometimes and not going to be out there. So Max Melton's the only starter that'll be there. So he's probably going to be going up against a backup. And whether it's in the return game or it's I would expect some crosser across the field. I think Torrey Horton's going to get in the end zone, and plus at 4-1 is crazy to me. My last play, I got to get some defense in there.
Here we go.
We were hitting on these, man. We've been hitting on the sacks market, so I'm going to keep riding the wave. Give me Calais Campbell, 1+ sack at plus 280 over at FanDuel.
Okay.
He is, despite, how many?
Being 72 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say he's 39 years old. He's been in the league. Yeah. He got drafted in 2008 out of Miami there. He leads his team in sacks. He's got 2 sacks on the year. And this is a situation where I think, both teams are going to struggle to run. Sam Darnold's going to have to try to wait for some of these routes to develop here. And interior pressure is one of those things that is extremely hard. And, it's not just the sacks. Like we saw what should have been the game-winning play last week where he forced the safety in the end zone, forced a hold because he was going to kill Mac Jones. I mean, dude, the guy's clearly, he has not lost a step. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a mountain of a man. He's like 6'10", 360. I mean,
Like,
Massive.
just put Sam Darnold and Calais Campbell next to each other, and you'd be like, these guys, there's no way they play any type of the same sport, right? They're not
Right.
even the same worlds.
Right.
But no, the dude's been playing a beast. I think this number is
No doubt.
crazy. I don't understand why this is almost 3-1 for him to continue being a beast and doing what he's doing. So I
Yep.
love Calais Campbell. That's my only
Might have to
defensive
add that one to my
play
flip too.
for the night there. DraftKings has been, both DraftKings and FanDuel have been a little scared to put some of those numbers out with some of these other guys. So I will say Cardinals are pretty susceptible as well. They didn't have anyone when I was looking earlier listed. Kyler Murray's already taken 7 sacks this season.
Yeah.
So with their offensive line issues, I'll probably be adding a couple Seahawks as well.
And not being able to see Maserati Marv because he's a little minion. But
Yeah, a little tater tot running around back there. And he is a guy who, it's very annoying as to be a fan of. I'm obviously not a Cardinals fan, but to have those quarterbacks that run around and they don't like throw the ball away. They just take the loss for 1 to 2 yards and it gets counted as a sack. Like, he's definitely done that a couple times. So I know the offensive line's probably telling him, dude, like, cut us some slack, man. Can you please not do that? It looks bad against us.
Yeah.
But he's definitely someone that could do that. So if you want to lay a couple on some Seahawks, I'm thinking guys, Byron Murphy's been having a great year. Leonard Williams, Gerard Reed, especially interior pressure. So, yeah, brother. Hey, fun show. It's going to be another great week in the National Football League.
No doubt.
You got anything for the people before you get on out of here, man?
Yeah, obviously we're doing this show. We did the college football show last week. Threw a couple extra games in there because we got one hell of a slate this Saturday.
Night,
if you got a wedding this weekend, I feel sorry for you.
Look, man. Hey, I found out. So yes, we recorded college football show last night. Had to add an extra 2 games because this slate is awesome. My wife told me the wedding is on a Friday.
Okay.
I still not. It still sucks.
Way to work that out somehow,
dude. I can't wait to tell the groom congratulations on the love and all that shit. But good job pushing for this on a Friday, man.
For the Friday.
We got a hell of a slate. Awesome. But yeah. Also, don't forget to check out Derek's Survivor episode because I'm curious if he's telling the truth or not. But hey, folks, we've got a ton of stuff. If you want to, whether it's college football, NFL, the betting section, just go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. We're doing this all year long. We're cashing every single week. So join and let's have some fun. If you want some fantasy stuff, Derek does a great waiver wire on Sunday nights that comes out Monday morning for the offense there. And I do an injury report on Thursday. I'll record tomorrow. That's over on the IDP Plus channel that we also do stuff for. Other than that, man, excited for another week of football. Don't take it for granted, folks. We are going to be wishing we had weeks like this when it comes to be the offseason. So let's have fun. Let's make some cash. And you know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. From Professor Locks and Doc here at DFSG Plus, we are out of here.